my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Jen Vaughan. She's a business intelligence engineer, Tableau server administrator, and an accredited Tableau trainer, Tableau social ambassador, and a former Tableau employee. All views that Jen talks about are her own. So without further ado, oh, and she's also, how could I forget, she's also the co-organizer of this Fringe Festival of ours. So please help me give a warm welcome to Jen Vaughan. Jen, take it away.
Thank you, Emily. One minute. There we go. Okay, all set. Well, great. Welcome to the Tableau Fringe Festival. I'm so glad to have you all here. Thank you for joining. I'm going to take you through a talk about career in data using Tableau. And my goal for today is to tell you some stories. I think what's really important about data is not that you have it, but what story you can tell with it. And so data can be found in any parts of our lives. And for me, I'm going to be talking about my career. So what does it mean to have a career in data using Tableau? Well, this is a good thing to have, and this really speaks to really the difference between having a job and having a career. And I think I can sum this up by explaining or having this idea of how many times have you gotten in the car to go to work and you thought, well, why am I doing this? Why am I driving here? What is it that I make a difference in? Do I feel fulfilled? Some of those questions I'm sure you've all had, and if you don't, then you're one of the lucky ones. So really, let's find your passion, and that can be your career. So it's really finding that position that puts you in a situation where you can really live from that passion. So I'm very fortunate that I have found a place in my career where I have fun, and it just so happens to be with Tableau. And one of the things that I started out when I did to make a career change, I wanted to be a Tableau trainer. And so it's with great pleasure and kind of dorkiness that when I go to teach Tableau classes, I start out the class going, this is going to be Tableau fundamentals. And yes, that was dorky. I know it is, and I do it because I really want to stress that it's about having fun, and you can do that with Tableau. So back in 2011, I had those thoughts, and I wanted to really drive what it was that I do. And I was a program manager, so there's a lot of different skills that I could draw from to really make this jump. So I started asking questions like, well, what do I do in my downtime? What do I like to do if I'm not with, my family? What's most important to me? And I started to drive out patterns. And this book really helps go through some of those questions and really dive deep into it. So this is why I'm sitting here on this book as a recommendation point for you. But the type of questions that I had were, okay, I like to be crafty. I like to color. I like to work with certain types of data. I started to really just drive out what those fun parts were, or for me, what drove that excitement, because that excitement is where that story comes from, and really where that memory comes from of what it means to be passionate. So in that introspective too, it was really who am I? And yes, that sounds really deep. It doesn't have to be, so don't think that it is. But the thing that's really interesting is knowing what you're good at and what you're not. And sometimes it can fool you, or it can be spot on. So for me, it was going to Myers-Briggs was one of them that I had the results from. So I go from an ESTJ to an ESTP. So it's a little bit about me, and I think I got my acronyms correctly. If not, you can tweet to me, #TFFGen, so I can clarify that later, and you'll know all about me. No, just kidding again. So who are you? What makes a good fit these random questions that you have through self-assessment surveys are really meant for you to answer really what's true from instinct. And what instinct is what do you most likely gravitate towards? So started asking some of those questions, and it really came true to me that I work well with my mathematical mind, my very logical mind, and also very creative too, which I at times didn't think I was creative. So flexing those skills was really important for me. And then one day I was searching back in that 2011 time period. And yes, there is a typo here, but I guess that's pretty good because I don't want to have any swear words in the interwebs here. But this is my feeling when I came across Tableau for a job description. And I was looking on Craigslist. I was looking for something that was close by. And I live in Fremont, they're in Fremont, so perfect fit, right? But then as I started to look into it more, some of those patterns of things that I was looking for, that being able to be in the public eye, being able to prove the theory around third-party software, just really can it do its job, and what type of job is it, and how do you fulfill that, and does Tableau do that? So that was my reaction. And I was creating this presentation going back through my email box, and I had looked at a lot of jobs. So when I came across this and I saw the subject line of it, I actually started to think, wow, I really did dig that job. So I'm very happy to where I started. But where it's brought me and how I share back with the community is creating this profile of myself. And let's stop for a second and go back to storytelling. So when you're looking for a job, what do? You have to think of a cover letter, you have to write your resume, and you have to find the jobs, right? So, but what about yourself? And I've already talked about some of that introspective to figure out what positions you'd like to go into. But now this is, how do you sell yourself? And so this here is some of my credentials, but one of the way and the most important way that I reach back to the community is through my Twitter. And so you'll be able to follow me there. And just really speaking to that public profile, what is it that you have out there, and what is the message that you're sending folks? So really honing down in on who you are and what you're portraying. So a little bit about me, and this is the transition into more of myself and why you should listen to me. So, I said in 2011, I thought about a job change, and I was working in program management. So really, to me, this sums up how I look at where I may be in my career. Any point in my career, this description really describes who I am. And so that storytelling starts to tell a different story as well, but more information. So as these iterations come through of the touch points, the cover letter, your resume, the different tailored resumes that you have, your LinkedIn profile and what that says, and then any of your social media aspects, you have to continue to tell this story of who are you and what is your value and how do you contribute. And so here my contribution is, I'm known as Tableau Jen. People kind of laugh when they call me that, but I just go, no, I've taken something that you find funny, which is fine, it's funny, I'm Tableau Jen, and put it into something positive. And so that's how I describe myself, and I'm okay with it because I am IT plus Tableau Jen, and this is what I do and what I like to do. So I find the things that I like to do, like reporting, writing, presenting, social media, and training. And I make sure that that's in my career, not just my career. And that the program management skills don't define me, but are things that produce and follow along with me. So I have started in human resource management since high school, and I majored in it in college as well, along with management information systems. I am by nature a data lover. I have worked in program management with different types of data, from finance to HR. And you see my picture there, that was at the Tableau customer conference last year with the Seize the Data. And it is about seizing the moment, but really the data is you, and that's who we're talking about here. I'll go into now, after this, a little bit about the jobs that are for Tableau positions. For my Tableau experience, I've been working with Tableau for 5 years. I've held the roles of a BI analyst, a BI developer, and currently a BI engineer. And I also do server administrator. You'll also know that I'm social on Twitter, so I'm also attached. I've also been recognized as a Tableau social ambassador. So what do I want you to get out of this presentation? Thank you for letting me tell my story first, and I hope that you liked it, and I'll continue to try and tell more stories as well. So the main helping points that you're going to get out of the rest of this material is, what does a career using Tableau look like? So what is the entry point? What is the top echelon? Or if you even care to get to that, that's fine, but we know what our career path can be. Okay, I have an interview toolkit for you. And then how do you get to know Tableau? And we've heard some presentations so far on the TFF agenda. This is a little twist. So first, who are you? It's a very big question, right? So I stop and I think about it. And these are the things that are the base model if you're thinking about a car being a person. Let's talk about it from a technical aptitude. We're going to go into some job descriptions, and you'll see some of the technicality that they're asking for. I've also listed out some skills here and some data programs to know. So that's really encompassing some of that part of it. But the aptitude part is the gray area, and that's really the drive. And that's the drive for really figuring things out. And that leads into being curious, and not just curious about learning, but curious about data. It's about the conversation that you have when you talk about data. Yeah, let's just try one on for size. I was taking a look at accounting data, and I started to see blah. Like, if you're in an interview and you have that excitement or lack thereof of that situation, don't tell that story. Okay? So I'm prepping you as well as telling you what you should be, okay? Now the next one, we talked about this across the way, ability to learn and the ability to adapt. If there's one thing that is very constant, it's change. And in the technology industry, it's going to change continuous. And we know that with Tableau releasing every quarter, a major release every year, that's quite a bit to catch up to, and I'm really looking forward to the Tableau 10 features, pretty big release. And number 4, I'm going to throw out there, and I think that this is pretty spot on for what I've seen in the job descriptions, which is a basic knowledge of SQL, just basic. When we start to have the conversation about data, you need to be able to know where data came from, some of the intricacies of being able to join data and get data. So let's take a look at some of the job titles. So when I did a search of Indeed.com looking for just the search criteria Tableau, I came back with all of these job titles. So business analyst, a data analyst, and a reporting analyst. So those are very similar. They're very slightly different. A lot of these also have analysts, so we're looking into something, more like a research. And so the focus area of each one has that within its name or the title of it. When we get down to BI or Tableau analyst, BI and Tableau sometimes get interchanged, so that's why there's that / Thinking about it, really, business intelligence in some of their descriptions, and especially with my the BI engineer role, the business intelligence part is that you're spanning across multiple solutions, or that you're looking at a broad range of the BI field. So that's a little bit to describe to you there. Now for data scientists, I think that this one's one that's coming up pretty fairly fresh on the scene within the past 2 to 3 years. And I think that it's also sometimes said to be, you need to be this person, but what did I say? You really need to be this person. And this person is good. It's really good. So how can you get great? And what does that look like? I'll go through some of the extra bonus features that you need to have on your quote-unquote car. Okay. So we'll take a look at reporting analysts. Now I'm looking at a healthcare management administrator's position that was posted on Indeed, and I'll take you back out to the web to take a look at the full description. But what I've pulled out here is the essence of a reporting analyst, and I like the way that they described it. So this is coming from what you will do is the left column, and then how or what you need to do it is in the right. So let's stop and, why don't you guys virtually raise your hand? Who here gets intimidated by reading job descriptions? Okay, any hands? Okay, good. How about looking at this? Does this intimidate you? Not so much, I hope. Because what I've done is, even though there's a lot of this expectation, what is really there is actually what you're already keen to doing if you've done reporting before. The data visualization skills, there's some things around learning those, but if you've got this base here, this is your entry point. So think about it and not in a manner that goes, I need to have X, Y, and Z to do such. Without being too general for that, let me go to the web here. So this is the full description for the reporting analyst. The way that the job descriptions are written out is that you'll have a description or summary of the company, then it runs into the description of the actual job and very generalities there. So you're going to be your subject matter expert, okay? And sometimes that's an SME for an acronym. The next things that we're looking at are the actual functions that you do. And then taking a look at what a successful candidate will be, use these as guidelines. So the other thing that I've found myself when I go out to look for a career or a job, is that I get a little like, I don't know, do they really want that? And yeah, sometimes I blow it away, but sometimes I'm just kind of skirting on the line. So my point is, when have you gone into negotiations and said, this is what I want, and it's my lowest request, okay? This is what they're doing in this job description. They're coming into that negotiation saying, if I had the most ideal candidate, I want this. So is there always the ideal candidate? Can you always find that person? Not always, but let's see how you can go ahead and sell yourself. All right. So the next one I have is the principal data analyst, before we get into that information. So principal data analyst, some things to pull out here are analytics. They start to talk more about algorithms, being able to continuously improve and really having that really deep statistical predictive modeling concepts, machine learning. I mean, this is what a data scientist role should be. It's not going to be something like what I saw in the reporting analyst. And I know that when we were talking about the Data Plus Women panel and the questions, there was really a lot of this, did you just slap on data scientist onto a reporting analyst or a data analyst title? Sometimes that's true, but knowing this baseline of what to expect, and what I found to be a good description of such through my search, here's what I have for you, okay? And this breaks down this whole notion of data scientist into their function areas and what they do and what their focus areas are. Next, technical skills to have. So these are more of your baseline. And as you get into the modeling, the root cause analysis, behavior analysis, that gets more into the data scientist portion of it. And then what was I talking about for those bonus points, right? Bonus points here are knowledge of Alteryx. Alteryx and Tableau are almost like a hand in hand. So getting to know that would be good to add onto your resume too. Getting that statistical experience with SAS and R, good for data analysts and really stepping towards that more technical range. JavaScript, and knowing the JavaScript API, you could do that if that's a passion. And then if you've already got some coding knowledge, knowing these languages will help you do things with other APIs within the application. So maybe you'll start a project and that one project will be your launching point. So getting to know Tableau, it really to me is if I was to start to be, if I was new again, or actually these are the things I've done, okay? So getting involved in social media, finding your local tug, your local Tableau user groups, you can find that through the community forum. A little bit nested in there, but they're improving that. Tableau hosts events that are road shows. They're either local, virtual. Think Data Thursdays, good for learning. How about watching all of the on-demand training videos? I mean, all of them. It's not that much time. They're fairly small. And you'll be able to be pretty foundational in terms of Tableau. Tableau Zen Masters, reach out to them, follow their blogs, talk to them, start a conversation. They're super helpful, and they're Zen Masters because they share. And so start that conversation and join the community. So step up. We've heard that quite a bit in the conversations that we've had within Tableau, and just with your own career, right? You have to take that first step. My interviewing toolkit for you is this. You need to have passion. That was the number one thing about making that career from a job to a career. It's finding that passion. And then when you go into that interview, you talk about those things that are passionate to you. You tell them about the stories that you've had. And your knowledge of Tableau will come through. And certain things that I recommend is to watch the product demo. If you can product demo Tableau, then you've got a good base skill for yourself. Know the product lines so that when you're talking about Tableau, you know the difference between Tableau Desktop and Tableau Server. Seems pretty basic, but you need to know what they are to be in, to speak about it too. So then you can give yourself a little bit more background by reading the Gartner research reports, and since Tableau's in them, they have them hosted as white papers on their website. Tableau Public, this is a good way to have your portfolio online. You don't need to make a website to have your own portfolio. If that's the way that you want to go, do it. But Tableau Public is where you can prove your data visualization skills. So 3 C's to learning data visualization. Learn courses online through free colleges about data visualization itself. If you want to pick up coding, learn SQL Code Academy. Khan Academy is good for anything that you have with learning. And then certificates. So local colleges have really good low-cost certificate programs. And then getting certified by Tableau. I call it certifiably Tableau. You can be certified in desktop server, and you can be a train the trainer as well. So good stuff there, and all makes you stand apart. Some books to read. This is from Daniel Murray. This is his bookshelf. On there is his book, Tableau Your Data. Some from Tufte. Next from Ben Jones, Tableau 201. And then this from my own shelf, Information Dashboard designed by Stephen Few. Learning Tableau by Joshua Milligan. And then Storytelling with Data by Cole Knaflick. So growing your network is also very important while you're in this in-between stage, and getting out there to know your industry, the tech industry, whatever it may be. I opened up the healthcare industry for that description of that reporting analyst. Tableau open houses. I mean, Tableau is just follow them on social media and learn about everything that they have out there, and you'll be pretty spot on. If you don't want to do all that, just follow me at butterflystory.com. I've got a pretty good pulse on them and the community too. So then for data itself, other meetup groups, doesn't have to be Tableau. There's a data visualization meetup in Seattle. And then volunteering, how important is that? That's a way to give back, but volunteering also shows you what you're passionate about. And if you can do something like the Tableau Foundation to include some of those passions with data, that's great. That's one specific example, but I'm more talking about maybe you can volunteer doing reporting. You have Tableau Public, they have public data, great. Do some skills learning that way. So I heavily suggest volunteering. What I told you was become certifiably Tableau. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending, and it's now time for questions.
Jen, you've had, I don't see any questions really on the Twitter right now, but you've had a lot of good tweetable moments. So you'll be
Oh,
able to
thank
check
you.
that out later. But yeah, I think you're totally spot on with everything in your presentation. It was really great. And that's what we're seeing in the chat window as well.
Wonderful. It will be recorded too, so if you like it a lot, do share it. That's flattery.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen. That was